Welcome to my library, dear guest. My name is Ko, and I will be your storyteller. Today we have 2 horror stories to go through, but this time they're actually connected with one another. Oh, also, the first one of these stories is NSFW, while the second one is not. They may be connected, but you can still listen to the second one without knowledge of the first. Or switch to a completely different video if you prefer, I'd understand. That being said, and with the warning out of the way, let us get right into it. Story number 1. Player Can't Hide His Frustration. By the author, Kriegel. I think that's how you pronounce it. I, 23 male, was the DM in a campaign that started because the other DM, 40 male, didn't want to be a master for a while and try new games. He was the kind of person who used to talk a lot about how he had 25 years of experience as a DM, of almost only D&D and Pathfinder. But actually he was one of the most childish and immature players I found. We were playing a post-apocalyptic system, and he complained about everything by saying I was a rules lawyer. The core rules of the system are 4 pages. Like, one of the racial abilities in this game says, once per session, before you roll a check, you can say, I use luck, and it will be automatically passed. He called me a rules lawyer because he wanted to use this ability after rolling, because the normal rule is unfair. Am I a rules lawyer, or is he a person who always wanted to win? The fact that he started to add important items to his sheet that he didn't find, like some fuel, is telling me I wasn't a rules lawyer. Meanwhile, his behavior in the campaign was equally cringe. His only purpose was literally fucking every single female NPC he met, and he insulted me because I didn't let him. Sometimes he was pissed because I used to show to the group pictures of NPCs I found on the internet. According to him, my NPCs of a post-apocalyptic world weren't beautiful enough, because they weren't based on some kind of hentai. That scene was embarrassing. A 14-year-old obese and unemployed man shouting against me, somebody who could be his son, because he couldn't fuck imaginary characters he judged not beautiful enough. Side note, I've nothing against people over 40 years old. Actually, I played often with people way older than me for guilds and events, but I expect them to act like adults. Anyway, we tried to do another campaign and things got even worse. We started playing Blades in the Dark. If you don't know the game, the characters are a gang in a city based on the Victorian age. You have to create the gang too. The creation was equally cringe. Obviously, he pushed the group for being pimps. That was okay. The game is often about pleasure. But during the gang creation, he refused to pay the coins to the gangs he chose as allies, because according to him, having a discount with their prostitutes was enough of a payment. I tried to explain that gangs pay each other with coins because their goal is to make money and power. Discount over prostitutes isn't enough a payment for support. Guess what he said? Exactly. I am a rules lawyer. Then they had to pick up a rival gang to be at war with, and they chose the Hounds. I started narrating. You are at war with the Hounds. In the past weeks, your rivalry for the control of the business escalated in... And the player interrupted me to say, the gang war actually started because he fucked the wife of the enemy leader. I continued by saying, so, we begin with you in your hideout. He interrupted again for saying that they weren't alone in the house. There were also the 2 girls of the crew, and he was fucking them. I told him that right now they don't have a crew, but if they wanted, they would get it with experience in short time. He freaked out by shouting, we were in a park, that the book says gangs of tier 0 can have up to 0 to 2 minions. I responded only if they pick the crew feat in the game. He kept insulting me and shouting by saying that this game is shit and I'm an asshole who follows the rules. At that point I asked myself, is it worth playing with a sexually frustrated 40-year-old who keeps insulting me because I don't help him providing materials for his masturbation? And I left the table. Oh, what a ride. To clarify something, when the player interrupted the author saying, actually, this is what happened, why they were describing things, that is a mechanic of Blades in the Dark. You can do flashbacks while playing. Essentially, when you invoke a flashback, you can roll for and play out something that happened in the past and then affects your current situation. Example, you want to infiltrate a hideout by impersonating a random guard. You can invoke a flashback saying you robbed that guard of their belongings in the past, which also holds their clothing, ID, whatever have you for you to be able to do so better. And if you succeed, well, you will have an adequate advantage in your present situation trying to infiltrate that hideout. Mind you, I haven't played Blades in the Dark often, only in Crow's game, thank you by the way, it's always fun. So I tried to explain as best as I could per the written rules and my own memory. Anyway, that's only a side note, just to explain why he butted in like that and that the author ran with it. That all being said, this really isn't the game for him, I feel like. The author is correct in saying that pleasure, or rather vices, are a part of Blades in the Dark. But nobody, in no game, likes that person who feels as though they need to sleep with everything that moves. You can play a horny bard for all I care. But if that is all your character is, and they're really obnoxious about it, don't you think that's boring and most likely annoying to everybody else? Play what you want if it doesn't bother anyone, but in this case it clearly did. There's probably some NSFW TTRPG out there, right? Just have to look for groups like that? ERP, maybe? I feel as though this goes for a lot of other problem players we have covered as well. Also, you cannot call the DM a rules lawyer for invoking the most basic rules of the game. That is what they do. I do not believe this person knows what a real rules lawyer is. We covered some of those guys. Specifically the, as the site TV trope describes, obnoxious rules lawyer. Like what's right here described on screen. So, where does the author go from here then? Let us find out. Story number 2. DM tried to hit on the only female player and almost ruined my life. By the same author, Freagle. After that experience, I was desperate. I, 23-year-old male, couldn't find a new group after the first lockdown. And I don't like playing on Discord. I can't stay focused, plus my computer is in the only place of my home without heating, and at that time it was winter. So after some time during the second lockdown, the player of the last time, 41-year-old male, we will call him Michael, Yes, it's a fake name. We aren't even from an English-speaking country, as you may have noticed by my poor English, said to me that he was sorry for what happened, and he wanted to play a Legend of the Five Rings. If you don't know, it's a game set in a world similar to feudal Japan, where characters are samurai. Campaign, based on Dororo, an anime movie he watched. I was a bit skeptical, mostly because he is the kind of person that knows only D&D/Pathfinder in his personal vision. With personal vision, I mean, every time you try to say that your spell does what the book says, he shuts you up by calling you a rules lawyer. But I was desperate, so I accepted because I thought as a DM he would be better. Since we were still in lockdown, we started the campaign on Discord. I wanted to wait and play in person, but everyone else wanted to start online, so I accepted to play online despite hating it. He made an announcement on a group to look for new players. We had a new player from a different region. I will call her Karen. 33 female. Since the beginning of the campaign, the DM was trying to hit on Karen. He made her the main character of the campaign, giving her powerful items and power-ups, allowing her to do metagaming, skipping the malice? I don't know. She should have for certain actions, allowing her to do 4 actions in combat with a standard action and so on, while trying to flirt in every possible way in the group chat, and even praising her actions even when she did metagame. By the way, his way of flirting was the most embarrassing I've ever seen, since he was posting pictures of some manga where people groped boobs of the characters while saying, "I want to be a bra." Or he kept mentioning Karen's breasts, the only woman in the campaign, while talking in the group. Or, even better, when he found out she was a vegetarian, Michael said he was against the massive consumption of meat too. And it's funny, because before the lockdown, we went to a fast food joint before playing, and he ordered 3 burgers only for himself. Some examples of what the campaign was. Due to our background, in this game you're all part of it, we both had the personal quest of finding the weapons of our ancestors. I wrote my background about my search of the sword of a goddess, Lady Shinjo, the founder of my clan. Meanwhile, Karen didn't write anything at all. What happened? Not only didn't I find my sword, but the DM made me understand that if I will ever find it, the weapon will be some kind of decoration unable to cut. Karen found a yari, a bamboo spear, used by one of her ancestors. Her spear can literally shoot lightning bolts that come from the sky. Also, for those of you who don't know, in the game there are 2 stats, honor and glory. You may gain or lose points based on the actions of the characters. We killed a woman who was actually a demon, and the human who was helping her, so the DM said we lost glory because according to him they were innocent. I tried to argue by saying no one saw us doing it, and the DM responded by saying that honor and glory are personal. It doesn't matter if people can't see us. The next session Karen found some corpses and she wanted to bury them. Keep in mind that touching a dead body is one of the biggest dishonors for a samurai, and it causes a great loss of honor. I said to Karen, "Be careful, touching dead bodies is a dishonor for a samurai." She told me that she didn't care. Then Michael said, "There aren't people around here who can see her, then she won't lose honor." The campaign was basically the ride of a crappy theme park. On the rail, you see the scene the GM prepared for Karen, NPCs talking only to her, spiritual trips where she spoke with her ancestors, and so on, and then go on. On the other hand, Karen was an extremely childish person who enjoyed all the attention she had. After every session, she wanted to start a PvP situation by saying things like, "I may do something bad next week. Michael, check the 5 minutes voice message I sent you." According to Michael, we didn't pay enough attention to her too, because when we had to split the party, me and another player on the left, Karen and another player on the right, we had encounters with skeletons, and while we were fighting, Karen summoned her legendary spear, so Michael asked us, "You don't have a reaction to her?" I responded with a, "No, I'm fighting for my life. I don't care what's happening outside the fight." Another time, the party found an orphanage run by a young girl. During the night, my character woke up and found out the girl was selling her body to some soldiers. I explicitly told that I would keep it a secret, because my character didn't want her to interfere with our mission. The first thing Karen did was finding the girl and asking her where she was last night. And I can keep going on talking about how the campaign was bad because the DM didn't know anything about both the system and the setting, but the fun thing is that he asked me to correct him when he was forgetting things. But every time I did it, he said I was a rules lawyer and too much bound into the books, because I can't create something original. This is fun because every original setting made by him is literally another game/anime, but played with a popular rule set. He also didn't understand the game. He was playing a game mostly about intrigues, duels, politics, and war, like if it was a dungeon crawler, and then complained by saying things like, "These games made for millennials are bad." During that period, international editors started pre-orders for our version of Cyberpunk Red. I said in the group chat that I was going to buy it. Michael offered me $10 to contribute because he wanted the PDF version of the game. I usually let the players use my PDF as long as they don't share it. I said it was okay because they sent you 2 codes for the digital version of the rulebook. One at the moment of the pre-order, and one in the last page of the book. Since I'm a student and the only one in the group that buys games, I'm glad when someone wants to help me buy them. Since the books were still being printed, we had only 1 code. I used it, but then Michael asked if he could have a copy of my version to read so we could start his totally original campaign based on the world of Alita Battle Angel as soon as possible. So I sent him a copy of the file because I wanted to end that shitty campaign quickly. Keep in mind that when you download the PDF, on every page there is your name and the transaction code, so editors can track people responsible for piracy. We kept going on with the campaign, and after every session we spent at least half an hour arguing. Me and Christopher, 34 male, longtime friend with Michael, against Karen. Because the group didn't do what she wanted. I said I couldn't stand it anymore playing with a group of people who spent more time arguing than playing. Michael tried to save the group because he didn't want to lose the favors of Christopher, basically his driver, and me, who buys the rulebooks. He says we could discuss what wasn't wrong with the campaign, and we said that Karen was getting all the attention and favoritism while the campaign was repetitive. He freaked out by saying she's a true good player, unlike us, and I responded, "Fine. Then play with her," and left. The story could have ended here, but there is more. The week later, I saw a Facebook announcement in a group of Michael selling a digital copy of Cyberpunk Red. I had a bad feeling about it, so with a fake profile I said I was interested and asked him to send me some screenshots. I saw that was the copy with my name on it, and then I asked why there was that name instead of his. He responded by saying that my name was actually a fake name invented by him. He was selling a PDF bought by me with my name and the transaction code on it while claiming I didn't exist. For this, I could be reporting him for piracy and copyright infringement by the editors and being fined in the best case. Which is still bad because I study and I couldn't pay it for something that he did. He wasn't only the worst DM and player I've ever met, but also one of the shittiest human beings. Side note, at the end, I found Karen left the group too because she got tired of a disgusting man trying to flirt with her. Okay, so nothing has changed with our newly dubbed player/DM Michael. But he really wasn't the only pain around this time. Karen really did her part as well, didn't she? The two make for an awful team. The moment the authors said that they wanted to end that shitty campaign quickly, I have to wonder why they would even consider joining at all. Because a lot of the time I understand it is hard to leave a group, because a lot of the time they're close friends. That is not the impression that I got here. At that point, at the latest, one should have left. I understand the hunger for TTRPGs, just wanting to play. But it is as they say, no TTRPG is better than a bad TTRPG. Yes, I know it's no D&D is better than bad D&D, but how D&D was played here, and this rule goes for TTRPGs in general, not just D&D. It has me interested in checking out Legends of the Five Rings, though. Really interested. With today's stories covered, let us move on to the last segment for today. The Exhibition Journal, where I display the fan art you make for this channel. Today, we cover another piece made by Farball. Not only can they do pixel art, but monster designs as well. In this specific case, a fusion between Novatonics and I. Psst. I honestly really love Nova's color scheme, so this is perfect. The long neck gets me. But honestly, this looks super cool. Thank you, Farball, for once more sending in your fan art. Their socials are displayed on screen as well as linked in the description below, which is where you will also find the link to my Discord where you can submit your own fan art if you so desire, or just chill out. If you do not have a Discord, feel free to send it to the email linked in my About section. That's it for today's stories. I hope you enjoyed your stay and that I will see you again soon. For there are always more stories to be shared.